What's happening, pastors?
And
How
now
y'all
we're all
doing?
quiet here. Hi, guys. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
This is what we have the A team on today. Hey, Heather,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm having the time of my life.
All right, Heather, is that a real background or is that a
That's a dream of a real
that's a
background.
dream? Okay.
That's one of my favorite coffee shops, and I miss it tremendously. And I just put it on there today earlier. I have a couple kiddos who randomly pop in and out, and so at least then you don't see everything that's in my background, you know. But yeah, it's Zion Coffee Shop in Peoria, Illinois, and it's just fantastic, and I miss it a lot.
One of my goals for this call is to not have my dog jump in front of the screen and bark. Yes.
We're all just living the life anyway. Hey, John, how you doing, bro? Are you in your car? I can't hear you, but I see you.
He's pulling over.
Yeah, don't wreck John. Don't. John lives in a very busy part of Georgia. This is awesome having you guys on here today. Byron's there, I think. Cool. Well, it's 2 after, so I don't want to waste anybody's time. So I want to kind of dive in to kind of get things going today. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to just share some things that with these guys sharing with us that are just I think it's going to be really important. As I have been saying for several months now, I think it's going to be extremely important for the church, specifically the small and the mid-sized church, to begin to understand the importance of hybrid church. And what I mean when I say hybrid church is basically hybrid church is doing the very best in-person service or experience that you can, with doing, with the best you can with what you've got. And that's what excellence is to me, is that you do the best you can with what you've got. But then also we want to help you. And this is why I'm so excited about the new relationship that God has brought 95 Network to with AltarLive. We want to help you do a phenomenal job, not just live streaming or putting your service online, but really using the online technology to connect with your congregation and lead your congregation well. We've all made a lot of shifts and changes because of what happened last year. And I do want to make sure everybody understands this. All of us can truly say now that we can look back at last year with 2020 hindsight. That'll be my only joke today. But anyway, it's just very important that as we move forward, that we understand how to really engage with our congregation. So, there's a big push. Carrie Newhoff has been pushing this, and Unstuck has been pushing this, how we need to leverage the online presence to reach new people and to bring people into the kingdom. And that's absolutely true. But my point of connecting with these folks here, with Andy and Stephanie, is to help us to understand we've got to have something to bring them to. So if we're just going to connect with them and then there's nothing there's for them, that's kind of like going out and doing an evangelistic meeting out in the mall somewhere and then not providing any opportunities for people to follow up with them and connect with them. And so that's kind of the heartbeat behind what we're doing. These guys are the experts. And one of the things I want to make sure all of you understand is, and those of you who know me personally know this, the one thing I want to make sure we understand is I'm not an expert at this stuff. I just know we need to do it. And so that's why we're connecting with the experts. And so throughout the rest of this year, and who knows how much more beyond here, we're just going to do everything we can at 95 Network to provide you guys with connections that'll help you really develop your ministry, grow your church, because things are not going to go back to everybody knows this, but it's not going back to the way it was before. Everybody knows that. And so what we want to do is figure out where things are going and how to be so effective. So let me take a moment to introduce to you Andy and Stephanie.
Everybody.
These guys are the creators of AltarLive. And if you would, Andy, kind of introduce yourself, and then Stephanie, introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of dive in here.
Well, hi, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your day. My name is Andy Mayen, and I discovered Stephanie sometime in July. She and a couple of other entrepreneurs had seen something going on in the church space. And so I got to look at their website before it was live, and I was like, ooh, that looks like something I'd like to be involved with. So for the last 6 or 7 months. We've been working shoulder to shoulder virtually, and kind of stumbled a little bit at the beginning, trying to figure out what it is that we could do to help churches meet in some sort of virtual way. And right around October, we seem to have found the right mix. So we've been working with some churches. Actually, I see Thane online there, so he can vouch for what we say is accurate and which is stretch. What's a stretch? And so Stephanie and I are both churchgoers. Actually, we discovered that we go to the same church after we talk to each other. She's at one campus, I'm at another campus. And so I was a lifelong Catholic, had an encounter with Christ in my late 30s, and really have a heart for the church and for reaching those, who are kind of in my footsteps before. And we just think that this is what we've put together, we already see having an impact on some of the churches that we're working with. So we're gonna tell you a bunch of stories. Hopefully hear some stories from you as well, and then at the end we'll take a little look at what we've built.
Stephanie.
All right, Stephanie, I think I left something for you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, Andy. Well, hi all. My name is Stephanie Estucci-Leith. I am. My technical title is CEO of AltarLive. My background is in entrepreneurship, consulting for both business and nonprofit, as well as Christian higher education. Like Andy said, we are a team that's much of our team existed prior to COVID. People like Andy joined as we launched AltarLive this last spring. We've been building as a team mobile and technology platforms for over 10 years. We've built 40 different other apps and platforms. But in April last year, I think was the month, myself and one of our co-founders, Andrew, started doing just some help with a local church near us that was trying to start live streaming. We were just trying to help them get online and kind of uncorked a can of worms that is the world of live streaming for churches. Just alongside all of you guys, we realized that there's life is changing and the way church is being done is changing as well. So we saw, really a gap in tools that were available to churches. What most churches done, and if this sounds like your church, this is what we've seen a lot of places, you're live streaming to Facebook or YouTube, and then you're asking people to join on Zoom or some other video conferencing platform to try to have people really connect with each other. What we realized is church is more than just a one-way broadcast. It is about relationship and community. And that's what was significantly lacking with the tools and platforms that people had at their disposal. So we built AltarLive as that blend between the two. We can look at it later, but it's very much a video conference platform meets a live stream platform. We've learned right alongside churches. So today, what we're really excited to share with you is some of the lessons we've been seeing and trends. Like Dale said, we also are not complete experts in this. This is an uncharted territory for all of us. And we learn new things every day. I hope to learn new things on this call from you all as well. You are in the trenches, so to say, working with people in your communities, in your church family, trying to do what the work of the church has been for 2,000 years and now in a whole new way. We like to say, and we'll talk about this soon too, but when projector screens came to churches, it was a huge technology shift. When electricity came to churches, that was a huge technology shift. When the printing press came to churches, that was a huge technology shift. And we've had to adapt with new technology and new tools that have been at our disposal and as culture around us changes. But we're really excited to be learning alongside churches. What does it mean to not just watch church, but do church in this new digital era as we go forward?
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to try to get this done in around an hour today. And then at the end, we will open it up, I guess, for more questions. If people want to hang on and ask questions, we'll do that. But we want to respect your time. We're going to, Andy's going to kind of walk us through some things he wants to talk through. And then at some point today, we're actually going to get off Zoom and go to AltarLive. that is our plan today. And so Stephanie, I think, is going to hang around to make sure everybody makes that transition well. So Andy, as you get ready to kind of dive into your stuff, the first question that I wanted to ask to kind of launch you, and then you kind of take us where we need to go, is why do I need AltarLive? Why can't I just do it on Zoom? So there you go. Take off.
Well, Zoom is great. I actually had never seen a product as good as Zoom when I first encountered it. It's so clean. It's really easy to use. And for what we're doing right now, it's really awesome. It was built for business purposes. It was not built for church. And it can be used for church. Here's what so I have my own experience with Zoom Church, my church live streams. But as Stephanie and I have said, we've talked to many pastors and churches who are doing all sorts of things, and they love Zoom. What they don't, there is always one person who cannot figure out the mute button, right? So not all of you are on camera, so I can't see who's nodding, but I see 3 heads nodding. So, one of the pastors we talked to said, I think she's doing it on purpose, right? Like no matter how many times. And that's one thing, and who knows, you could even overcome that. What we also find is, so I'm an extrovert, but I have great passion and compassion for introverts. And an introvert can have a great time on Zoom because they don't have to talk. But if they do want to talk, it's really hard to break in, right? It's a little bit tricky if you're going to invite someone to church when they show up and boom, there's about almost 16 people on this call. Wow, all of a sudden they're visible to every single person in the church. Everyone's like, oh, who's that new person? So there are a number of things that are essential to the church experience that aren't they're not perfect in Zoom, or maybe they really don't belong in Zoom at all. So that is one thing. I'm so glad that Zoom exists and that churches were able to gravitate towards it. My men's group, there's 8 of us. We use Zoom for our meetings when we don't socially distance, when we only meet online. I'm curious, briefly, if any of you have had an experience with Zoom where you've encountered, what's great about it or what some of its limitations are.
This part's where they
Too
talk.
limited. I know it's too limited, right? But go ahead, Dale. If you had another, one of the things that we've heard from almost every pastor is how exhausting this season has been, and even around September, October, we heard from one person who said, I thought it was early on, we thought it was a sprint, and so we got online as fast as we could, and we're like, whew, we made it. And then we realized, okay, this is a marathon. So we started to do our marathon pace. Except when we got to September, the typical, church launch month, and kids going back to school, felt like somebody handed us a bicycle at the end of the marathon and said, "Oh, it's a triathlon," right? And now it's January, and we're still not all back. And what do they call those? Ultrathons or ultra marathons, 100-mile race or something like that. So we really appreciate how much effort it has required just to get to this point. But we also heard all sorts of great stories, and I'm sure you've got some yourselves, of churches where, because they got online, whether it was on Zoom or live stream on Facebook or on YouTube, that some new things started to happen. There's 2 of my favorites I'm going to share with you. One is a church that met on Zoom, and there were 2 women in the church. They belonged to the church. They were living in an elder care facility. So they didn't actually get to church, right? When the pandemic hit, of course, the elder care facility, everybody got locked in their rooms. They couldn't even meet with each other. So these 2 ladies, they got onto the Zoom link, and they would get on there a little bit early, and they would start to talk to. They hadn't seen each other all week. They would actually talk to each other Zoom just before church, and they would have a great time catching up. And then as other people from the church got on and showed up on the screen, they're like, "Oh, it's those 2 ladies we haven't seen in 6 months or 12 months or maybe 2 years or something like that." And they're very charming. And they sort of charmed everybody with their stories about their grandkids and other things. And what happened was, it wasn't just that these 2 ladies were, they're finally able to attend church again. I mean, that is a great thing. but really they became an integral part of that community again. It was a reciprocal relationship, not just them consuming the church, but also giving back to the life of the church. So that's just a beautiful story. The other one is actually in my own church, and I mentioned introverts. So my church streams on YouTube, and then there's the chat that happens along the side. And there's a woman who I've known for a long time, single mom, long time churchgoer, and she does not go to coffee hour at the end of church in just regular time. That's just not her scene. That, as an introvert, that just takes up far too much emotional energy for her. She'll go out to lunch with one or two people, but she's not going down to that big crowd. This would be a big crowd for her. And online, she was really chatty. She was in the chat pane all the time, and she's answering prayer and she's welcoming people. And so I took her alongside and I said, "Hey, for an introvert, you're awfully social." And she said, "Oh, from the privacy and comfort of my own room, I can do that." Well, a couple months later, we had a spot open on our elder board. And now all of a sudden her name is really well known. Her face shows up a lot. And she was nominated, and she is now an elder of our church. She'd been going to church for years. No one ever thought of naming her as an elder. So her light was really under a bushel for a while. And it was, I mean, we don't want that. Nobody wanted the pandemic, obviously. But that was something that never would have happened without us all being forced online. So those are two that I hold very close to me, that there are things that happen in this sort of context, whether it's Zoom or whether it's streaming online, that just hadn't had the air to breathe before. So that's something that really gives us hope that as some of us continue to be online, that there are all sorts of things that we can not just happen by accident, but really start to cultivate and foster, try to make it happen on purpose within our communities.
Yeah. We know you all are here today. I mean, the purpose of our gathering really is to look ahead to what will the church look like in 2021, and what does it mean within all of your roles and with the communities that you have to do the work of the church, even if it is online. What does that look like? So as Andy shared, some of our own journey through this past year has been first realizing, I'll say for myself personally, I went into March, April thinking online community is always going to be subpar than in-person community. And I was pleasantly surprised that we have not found that to be quite true. There are certainly things that online can never do that in person does really well. But as Andy just shared, we have so many stories we've encountered throughout this time, and I hope you have too, that have shown that as a community online, we can find new ways of being in relationship with one another. That being said, assuming the premise that online is here and it's probably here to stay in a new way, what are we to do about that? So, we always like to share with church groups of churches like this, kind of a high level overview of what we call kind of the state of the church, where we see things right now. Many of you probably follow Barna. They have some statistics and some very sobering statistics. So I'm going to just read off for you a little bit of what we kind of see at the bird's eye view. So according to Barna, 20% of churches are likely to close in the coming year. Now, that's a stat that you could unpack for lots of underlying reasons that were probably pre-pandemic as well, but certainly have been accelerated by the pandemic. 40% of regular churchgoers no longer attend regularly online or in person. We're seeing a significant drop-off of people attending. But half of those who have answered on surveys, no, they don't attend regularly in person, have said yes to watching online. So we see an interesting trend start to emerge, that people are dropping off. Some people who are reporting dropping off are actually watching online, but they don't consider it church. They just consuming church as a one-way broadcast to them is still not the church experience that they were looking for. So it leads to the question, what does church look like in this online arena? There are encouraging trends. 63% of church adults want their faith communities to use digital resources for spiritual formation. There's an openness to that. And 3 out of 5 people hope that even post-COVID, churches will continue to use digital means to bring people together. So when it comes to digital openness, you can also divide it across generational types. We won't get into all of that today. The task you have going forward too is to understand your people and what they need best. But for those, as we think about the way that we gather people online, we see a lot of trends changing, and we'd like to bring some of these to you guys today of things that we've seen, that we've learned from this pandemic, things that are going forward, and you guys probably have some that you could share with us as well.
If I can say, so what Stephanie was hitting on, when people are watching church, or like a consumer sitting on the couch, and it's not exactly Netflix, although they might go from one church service to the next online. Clearly, people are yearning for contact with other people, and there's another story that I've heard about that I think lends itself nicely to this dynamic. So you may be familiar with a program called Alpha. If you're not, I'll just quickly describe it. It's an outreach program, and the idea is, rather than inviting a non-believer to church, that you invite them to dinner, and they agree to sign up for about it's a 12-week program, and every week you come to a place. It might be in the church, like in the church hall or something like that, but it might be in someone's home or somewhere else. And a group gathers around a table, and they break bread and share a meal, and they talk with each other about their lives. As part of that, there is someone who gives a presentation. It's an evangelistic presentation to answer some questions, or ask some questions, or invites people to ask questions about who is God, and why does God allow evil things to happen, and purpose for life, and things like that. But the key to it is this meal, and people are sitting face to face, talking with each other in real life. Right? And it's a very successful model, and tens of thousands of people have come to Christ as a result. And then the pandemic hit, and they had to go online. And the founder of it was like, oh my gosh, I've been resisting going online since day one. They always ask me to go online. I'm like, no, it's about the meal. You got to have the meal. It works better, like 10 times better. He's humble enough to say. Part of it is one thing here, like right now on the screen, I can see all of your names. And it can get a little embarrassing if we've been having very serious and personal conversations for 4 or 5 weeks, and I can't remember your name, which I'm sure would happen. But right now I see all of your names. So one thing is that problem went away. But another one is as people were online in their homes, having conversations, laughing, enjoying themselves, somebody else in the house say, what are you doing there? And they're like, oh, Mom, why don't you join? And so actually the people who had been invited were also inviting other people to it. That would never happen in the face-to-face. And then when I found it takes about 7 weeks in person where you really have intense personal conversations and real transparency. And that was starting to happen around week 3. So there's something about this dynamic that is something different is happening there. So the thing that is missing when people are watching the live stream is that face-to-face. Usually on a live stream, you can have some sort of text-based chat, and there's all sorts of benefits to that. But we have found that it's that face-to-face interaction that is the missing element. And as Stephanie said, yeah, but it's less. We think it's going to be less than, but in some ways it turns out to be more than, and in other ways it's just the right fit. So we had some folks I attended church with who were doing it on AltarLive last week. And I chatted with one of them, and she said just what I wanted to hear, of course, was, boy, this felt like really going to church for the first time in 9 months. And there was another person I talked to who said, I wound up sitting with someone, and you'll see what we're talking about when we say that. I've been going to church here for 20 years. I've never met this person. And I guess they've been going here for a long time. And maybe I saw them, but I just never talked to them before. So again, there's something that's happening online that does not happen in person and face-to-face. So those are the kinds of things that get us very excited, that this is not just a stopgap for the pandemic and then for people who just can't make it to church, but actually there's a ministry that can really thrive in this domain.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you said that normally with those conversations, like week 7 is when things were really picking up, like you're having those serious conversations. And then when it was online, it was around week 3. Has there been any indication of why that's the case?
I can't speak to so there isn't something that was, so the Alpha organization hasn't done a study of why that is. One of the things is, so for whatever reason, the ease with which someone can leave actually makes it easier to lean in a little bit. And once it starts getting to be too much or inappropriate or something like that, then I can just drop out. Getting up from a table and saying, I'm going to leave early today. There's a little social approbation with that. Whereas online, I mean, I don't know if anyone's dropped out already, but if they did, I didn't really notice that they left.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the dynamics there.
I would think one of the big dynamics too would be just the fact that people feel comfortable. They're more comfortable. They feel like they're in control. To go with what Andy was saying there, they just feel like they're in control of the situation a little bit better. And so I would imagine that would add to that. Stephanie, you were going to add?
Well, also there's something interesting about it. A 2D surface like this equalizes the playing field for everyone. There's, I can have my camera off or on. I can choose when to engage. Some of those social dynamics that, again, there's so much good about in person, and that it's almost like it's comparing apples and oranges. There's something different that happens in an online space. We have developed different social cues. We are developing different behaviors and things, but when you really lean into those and take the best of them, I think that's what Alpha really found, was that they can create a whole new experience that
caused her to freeze up. So the biggest thing that I want to make sure that I communicate, remind you of why we're doing this again, is that we're not trying to create something instead of the in-person experience. We're just trying to create something to where we can do the best possible job we can connecting with people in the online experience. And because, as we had said earlier, I don't know that things I know they won't. They'll never go back to exactly the way it was before. So I'm hoping with this hybrid focus as we go forth, even as we begin to meet together again and come together, that we don't scrap this. And that's why I like the format. So can you guys kind of begin to walk us through some of the things that you provide with AltarLive, so these guys will know why this is so important?
Yeah, totally. So we like to say, the medium that you choose to do church is as important as the message. We spend a lot of time as our, as church leaders, thinking through the spaces that we host things in, the way that we host things. There's a lot that's sacred about what we do, and we do it with great intentionality. The same applies to online. One of the reasons we built Altar is to give churches the ability to be more intentional about how they are creating their online services. We like to say the platform you choose shapes your message. I'll just take a step back and say, the word that buzzes around most frequently right now when I talk to churches about online ministry is the word engagement. What does engagement mean? What does it mean to engage your people? The reality is platforms like, and no knock on these platforms, but Zoom, Facebook, other things like that, the way social media has been designed is really around engagement in terms of liking something, sharing something, commenting on something. It's a much more passive. And because of that, a lot of churches have started to adapt their messaging or the way that they engage with people based around those tools. In the same way, we see that, that can take a direction, not necessarily bad, but it does start to shape the way that we as humans interact with each other. So we designed Altar really to bring back that human interaction piece, the relational piece to what we do, that it's a two-way communication, not a one-way communication. So Altar is a two-way engagement platform. I can share my screen here because it's going to be a better visual as we talk through this. If you all can see this here. It is an online event platform. So what we're looking at here is Altar in action. It's a browser-based platform that allows you to host events, services, and meetings online. What you see coming through here is a video feed that you're already bringing from some other platform. In Altar, you can host both you can live stream your feed and have people do video conference simultaneously. As we talk about, your medium, what we've prioritized on Altar is the ability to, what we say is, democratize the platform a bit. Instead of just being the pastor on stage talking, now people amongst themselves can freely choose who they want to sit with, who they want to talk with, who they want to invite to the platform. And it brings back some of the organic nuances that we've lost in the in-person, one-way broadcast. So people can freely choose to move around. Very similar to Zoom breakout rooms, people can sit on any of these tables or join watch parties together freely. They don't have to be assigned into them by a host, and they can move between them as well. So it allows you, yeah, Matthew.
Sorry, another question with that. I've been seeing these tables and looking at that. And is it possible for somebody to join a table even though it's full? Like, say, like as a pastor, I'm moving through the room. Yeah. Like, can I join a table even though it's full, just to kind of jump in, say hi, and then like move away?
Great question. At the moment, you can't, but that is on the product roadmap for all sorts of reasons. You want to say hi to somebody quickly. For security reasons, or if you could imagine if you hosted youth group on the platform and you wanted a youth leader to be able to suddenly jump into a table, you would need it for all those kinds of reasons as well. So yes, coming soon you would be able to do that. Great question. Yeah, so an event-based, online browser-based platform. It means every event in Altar is a one-click link. You can click on that link, it opens a new tab in your browser. It's compatible across all browser types, Android, tablet browsers, iPad browsers, and we do have mobile apps releasing by end of January as well. So we've kind of designed the experience around what a usual Sunday service feels like, but a lot of these building blocks you could see applied in other situations as well. So you have two states in any event. You have the event state where your live stream is playing, people are maybe watching a service, or if it's a Bible study, maybe this is a teaching that's going on here, and they can join watch parties, video conference sessions together. You can seamlessly transition people into the lobby, the second state with all these rooms, just by transitioning them in. It's the same link. The host just moves people between like two rooms. Within these two states, people can freely move around as well. So Dale, I'm going to keep going until you stop me, but I can get into some of the details as well.
That's what I want you to do. I want these guys to be able to know what the benefit of signing up with AltarLive would be, and the things you offer. And we also want to allow enough time so we can switch over and do like we talked about and actually go to the platform. So you time that out as you need to, Steph. Super.
So then what I'll say to all of you then is stop me. If you have questions, just like Matthew did, I'm happy to answer questions as we go through. Don't be shy. So I'm going to start on the back end. So how does Altar work? We are a third-party platform, which means you're connecting your live stream feed from another destination. So you're already streaming to YouTube, Facebook, maybe you're using Zoom, maybe you're using a stream provider like Restream, Resi, StreamYard, any of these that some churches use. You create a community in Altar. In your community, you create events. Each event, you can connect a stream feed to. You can name the events, create the start time. You can add a hospitality team. You can create pre-event slides. You create that event in Altar. As soon as you publish it, you have a URL that you can then share with other people. You can take that URL, you can embed it on your website, in a button, in text. You can send it via email, text message, post it on Facebook, and people click on that link to join your event. It integrates with, like I said, YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, Zoom. So you could lead an event on Zoom. It doesn't connect directly into Altar because Zoom doesn't allow third-party platform direct integration, but you can go I could start a feed on Zoom, send it to YouTube, and then from YouTube into Altar. I'm just curious, what are people using right now? I don't know if anyone wants to just share out loud, or, Facebook, YouTube, Zoom, other things, Vimeo.
We're using YouTube and Church Online.
Yep.
There's probably others that I don't know. We were doing Facebook, but we've kind of stopped doing it there.
Yeah.
And Tim is saying YouTube and Facebook and chat.
YouTube and Facebook. Yep. Awesome. Usually it's some combination of those. So our platform, if you're familiar with the church online platform, very similar in terms of the back end of connecting your feed through. A few differences I can point out as we go. The largest one being you can run synchronous events in Altar. So church online, you create one, is basically you have one front page that you switch out the feed for. In Altar, you can create individual events. So you can have synchronous events going at the same time. So you could have a 9:30 service and 11:30 service, have two different links and they don't have to collide with each other. You could run multiple Bible study sessions at the same time, Sunday school sessions, things like that. All right, what would it be like to go to an event in Altar? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share at a high level what the experience would be like. And then as Dale said, we're going to actually get into a live Altar event, but I want to give you kind of a bird's eye view before we all hop in. And then you're going to be let loose to push every button in the platform yourself. But this is what it would be like to attend an experience in Altar. So let's say this button is a button on your website that says join us for worship online. If I click this link, it's going to open a new tab in my browser that will be the event link. So I would hop right into the event. I don't have to download anything. I don't have to sign up. I don't have to have any plugins. I'm immediately within the event. So if I've joined early, I'm going to see an event countdown timer and pre-event slides running. And when I join, I am an anonymous user, meaning I can watch and follow along without having to give my name right away. Now, anonymous users who join are each given a unique ID, meaning we generate a random name for them, like Blue Hammer. We do that for two reasons. One is one of the beauties of online, and as we said earlier, is you can, it's almost like your front door before, as people are checking out your church kind of from a distance, or you want to invite somebody new, they can remain anonymous and kind of be a fly on the wall before starting to engage. Platforms like Facebook and YouTube that's been one of the beauties of those as well. The problem is on those platforms, when I do, like, let's say I've been attending a church for a while and I kind of want to meet somebody who goes to this church, I don't have a way to then engage with them without like saying something in the comments or trying to find their connect button somewhere on their website. On Altar, when somebody wants to actually engage with others, there's a couple ways they can do that. One, because they have a unique ID given to them, the greeters, which you can set up ahead of time during the event, don't just see, oh, you have 72 people watching. You see, oh, I have 34 people and I see their names and I have these other 24 anonymous people, and I can direct message each one of them and they can direct message back with me in a private chat. So I can now create a more welcoming experience for each anonymous user who joins. When that anonymous user does want to get to know the community, they can sign up right during the event. So if they clicked on anything, if they clicked on the sign up button at the top, or if they clicked on any other feature on the platform that requires an account, it would just take them through the sign up process directly within the event. You can sign up with Facebook, Google, or your email address, and it all happens within Altar itself. It's one of the ways we balance accessibility and security on the platform. As you guys think about, the way that your community will gather online, and I'm sure you've thought through, various platforms as well, you want to maximize accessibility. No roadblocks to entry, no roadblocks to be able to watch the service, but you want to, but you also want to stay secure, especially on a platform like ours where there are video conference features. We require that one level of authentication so that people actually have to make themselves known as a real person if they do choose to join. So what happens when the event starts? So this live stream feed, again, is coming from somewhere like YouTube. It will automatically start to play when the countdown timer hits 00. So if I've set my event start time to be 10:30, this video will start to play at 10:30. During the event, I can do a few things. I can sit with other people in a video conference session like this. I can chat with others. I can create direct messages, small group chats. We do have public chat coming this next week as like a universal chat channel. Now, to sit with other people, I have a big button at the bottom that says watch with others. If I click on that button, I enter into the pew view. So the pew view is where you can see where other people are seated. One of the beauties of Altar is it helps you visualize who else is watching today. As you've probably seen on Facebook or YouTube, you can't really see who else is online until they say something in the comments section. On Altar, though, you can see who else is watching. I can see if they're already seated, or I can invite someone to sit down with me. Each of these rows becomes a private watch party. It's only seen by the people in that row. My camera and mic aren't on until I choose to take a seat. So I could watch the whole church service, just at a distance, or I can choose to watch with other people. So if I take a seat in one of these rows, I join a video conference session with the other people seated in that row. Now we can turn our mics off or on, we can hear each other. We're automatically muted when we first join. If we unmute ourselves, the volume of the video decreases enough so that we can actually hear each other over it, and there's not a big audio feedback loop. So now, if you have reflection questions on screen during a sermon, or a time of community prayer or communion, or anything else that you want people to interact with each other on, or maybe it's a Bible study and you are leading the Bible study from the live stream, and you want people to have a discussion with other people about the topics that you're covering. Now people can talk with each other while watching something together. You can also, on Altar, one of the coolest parts of it is the ability to do a passing of the peace, or if you do a time of greeting one another or saying hi to one another, you can do that on Altar. You essentially play musical chairs. You can leave your, just like in person, the pastor can stay from stage, go say hi to somebody else. You can leave your seat. You can go click into other rows, say hi to people, literally play musical chairs. And then the pastor, just like in person, says, all right, guys, we're moving on with the service. And you either choose to watch by yourself or go take a seat with someone again. So these are our watch party features. It's like I said, the best of the Zoom meets the best of things like Zoom, Facebook and YouTube blended together. Any questions I can answer before I show you the lobby?
Yeah, just a real quick question. You said you can have multiple events running at the same time.
Yeah.
So is there a limit on how many events you can be running at the same time?
No limit. So you can run.
We're not going to be running a ton of events.
Yeah, I would say unlimited. There probably is some infinite limit, but yeah, you can.
So you're thinking like the main service and then maybe a kids service.
Yeah, like a kids service, youth group, Bible studies. So Okay. And then can people jump from like Sunday school classes too? Can people jump from one to the other then?
Yes. So they would have to click on the other event link, but if you had it on your website somewhere or somewhere else for them to see, they could easily go between events as well. Okay. If I leave this event, I will say we do have some, for some of you who I know Thane's already using Altar, but you would have a community landing page as well, where you can actually leave this event and go see the other ongoing events that you could click into as well. Or you could have them redirected back to your website. Depends on how you want to, almost like the hallway between the two. How do you want to structure that? We have some options for that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. Anything else I can answer about watch parties? A common question we get is, are they limited to 4 people? The answer is they are currently limited to 4 just for technical reasons as we've scaled the platform, but they will increase over time. All right, so once the live stream feed doesn't automatically move everyone into the lobby, a host has to do that. So at any time during the event, you can move everyone into the lobby mode. When I do that, the screen changes for everyone to be the table view. Now, if I was seated with other people in a watch party during the event, I'm seamlessly transitioned with them into the lobby. So if we're mid-conversation, our conversation continues and the screen beneath us just changes. If I was not seated in the service, I'm not going to automatically be seated in the lobby. The reason we do this is 2 reasons. One, so not to cut off people mid-conversation, and so that it's one less way to, making sure people don't get lost on the platform is something we're always keeping in mind. So it seamlessly changes for them. The second is, just like in real life, if you have a room full of empty chairs, nobody wants to be the first one to sit down. So everyone is automatically seated at a table so that it's already creating a social momentum, and then it encourages other people to take a seat as well. So the lobby is is a really fun feature to use. People can, just like watch parties, hop in and out of tables. If I click join on any of these tables, I enter into watch parties with other people at this table, and we can have a video conference session together. I can leave that table, join other tables, and see where other people are seated. You can also name tables in the lobby. So we'll see this in the example event that we have going, but you can name tables, welcome table, prayer table, tables to learn more about volunteer opportunities. So you can customize the room ahead of time for what you'd like it to be used for. You can also, in the near future too, you'll be able to adjust seats at tables. So I could go in and say, I want some tables to have 2 seats, and some tables to have 4 seats, and some tables to have 3 seats. Depending on what kind of event or what kind of flow you want to create, you can adjust that as you go as well. So what a lot of churches do is they'll name tables for prayer, and they'll have some people assigned ahead of time to sit at those tables and pray with anybody that sits down with them. The welcome table the same way. The
Hey,
event.
Stephanie, one quick question.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I'm still trying to understand fully.
Totally.
The transitioning from the lobby to the sanctuary or where we watch the service.
Yeah.
Why? What's the? Can you say that one more time? Why we have it set up? Like, because you have to press a button to move everybody to watch, and help me understand the reasoning behind that.
Instead of it just moving everyone when the service automatically starts.
Yes.
Like if you're starting in the lobby as like the pre-event welcome space.
Yeah, and like if I've always been the host, so I'm not like I'm not really I don't know what it's like if you're not, but can you just kind of just go into the sanctuary? You just can't go into the sanctuary before the service actually starts, correct?
Correct. If you've left it in lobby state, everyone would join in lobby state to begin with. So if I wanted to, just like in real, in person, have a coffee hour before the service starts, I can go in early, move the event into lobby state. When everyone joins the event, there's tables there. They can start mixing, mingling with each other. As the host, I do need to move everyone over to the event. Right now, it's just not automated for flow of the event. If that's something I'm curious about, if churches would like automated, that's something we could certainly look at doing, so that you could set it up to basically run, we want 30 minutes in the lobby, then we want 30 minutes in the event, and then we want 30 minutes back in the lobby, and it just flows through like that. Right now it's just a manual move that's really simple, but yeah, it's a good question.
I would imagine they would love to be able to do that in real life, to get them out of the
Yes.
lobby to get the
Ring the
service
bell.
started. So I think having it, being able to move everybody together, probably a good thing, because we can't ever get them to get over there to get started anyway.
Exactly.
True.
Thanks.
Yeah, great question, Bethany. I love feedback like that. We love getting, new ideas of how you use this on a regular basis to make your lives easier. Any other questions I can answer about the lobby? Questions about specific kinds of events, what those look like on the platform as you guys think through Bible studies, small groups, church budget meetings, youth group, Sunday school.
Has there been any?
This is for right now. There's going to be, in the future, there's going to be an option just for meetings, not just to have just like a service, correct?
Correct. Yes. So in the future too, we will have the ability to essentially replace how you use Zoom for meetings right now. You could create a standing meeting where everyone joins just basically in a video conference session like this. There's not tables or other things, and you can do all the same things you do on Zoom. Share your screen, spotlight people, mute, unmute, things like that. So you could use Altar as well for your regular church planning meetings, staff meetings, meetings between smaller groups of people as well. Yeah. Matthew, you had a question too.
Yeah, and it's right along with that. Like we're having meetings where it's some are on Zoom and some are in person. Could Altar help, like, kind of make that a little bit more seamless? Like, have there's been any thought process about, okay, there's like half the people are in person, half of them are on altar? And is there a way to interact between the two?
I'm so glad you asked. So yes, so you can imagine, just like you all, we have built everything right now around the assumption that most churches, not all, but a lot of churches are still fully online, or they have some small capacity that's meeting together. The idea of hybrid ministry, truly where you have people in person and online, and they need to be able to communicate with each other and feel like they're one person together or one community together, is something we will be working towards. So in the future, what we would have, I would say this is like later 2021, is the ability to connect, to essentially bring people on stage from online. So this video feed then is connected to these video feeds. So I could be running a meeting in person, and this camera shows everybody sitting in a circle in the room, in an actual room. And then I could bring somebody from a table or a watch party if they raise their hand, or if they need to speak onto screen for people online, but also for people in person to see as well. Yeah,
Well,
so
I
that's,
think it might be time to take a look.
yeah, cool.
Let's go.
Great, more interesting than
Who wants to go to church?
yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, the last thing actually, Andy, before we leave, because once we leave this event, I think we're gonna probably close out for the day because we're almost at time. So the last thing I'll just talk through is pricing, because that's a common question that we get a lot. So how do we do pricing at Altar? So we bill fairly inflexibly for the way your church grows with the platform. So we base all pricing based on community members who have accounts in Altar, meaning we don't bill for anonymous users. So you can have unlimited people watching an event in Altar, just like you do on Facebook or YouTube. Only when someone chooses to sign up to actually participate in those interactive video conference features do we consider them a member of your community. So all churches start on the 70 member plan, even our 2,000 member churches. And what happens is, let's say you run an event and you have 60 people who've taken member seats in your community. Now you have another 20 people sign up during the event. Now you're at 80 people. Nothing happens during the event. Nobody's blocked. The event keeps running as is. After the event ends, your community admin will get a notice that says you've exceeded your member limit. What would you like to do? You can then choose to accept all the people who've signed up and upgrade to the next tier, or you can choose to decline them and stay on your current tier, or you can choose to deactivate some other members to make room for them. You can also imagine some people might sign up once and not come back, or come back very infrequently. Our system will detect after 45 days if someone is inactive, meaning they haven't accessed their account, they haven't come to any events. We move them to an inactive list automatically. They come off your member seats. You stop paying for them. But if they come to an event in the future, they won't see anything different on their end. We don't delete their account. We'll just move their status back to active. So you really only have to pay for what you're using. The pricing is based either monthly or yearly, depending on how your church budget works. So if you expect high fluctuation, you can do month to month, which means you can upgrade and downgrade as needed. Or you can do yearly, in which you pay in advance. You kind of estimate what your highest expected number would be, and then we would just prorate for anything that goes above. So we can work with you on both. And we also do group discounts, just as a high level thing to point out. If you belong to a denomination of churches or a group of churches, we can work at that level too, if you're looking at onboarding a few others. Getting started on the platform is really easy. So you can create an account for free if you go through this Try Altar button up here. On the free account, you can try connecting your video feed, see what it looks like on the platform. You can use the chat functionality as well. All the video conferencing functionality is on the paid tier. Again, you can start on the lowest paid tier. It is $29 for your first month. I can send a code after this that allows you to do that. And you can take 30 days to basically play around with all the features and run lots of test events on it, bringing a group on. Any questions about that before we actually move to an Altar event? Great. You guys are easy. All right. I am going to share the event link here. So give me one moment. So when I share this link, we are going to enter into the event. I just gotta get it. And actually, while I do this, Thane, you've been using Altar a little bit. Do you want to share anything about what that experience has been like? As my cat also makes an appearance, I realize.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome. The potential is insane, as I think that we are all seeing today, this hybrid church, and the new church, future church. This is the future right here, with what we're being able to see. Been super easy to navigate. Stephanie, I've emailed you 30 times asking questions, clarification, and saying, hey, this worked, this didn't work. It's how I would equate it. It's like seeing something be born still, and it has come so far. Like Codell Community Church, I heard about it at Dale's book stalled national conference, and so then once I saw it there, I'm like, dude, we have to check this out. And so then we've been kind of on board, learning more and more every week as we go. And so I love to see every week they continue to dial things in more and more. And it's nothing that's bad at all, but every week it's a step in the right direction. And that's what matters to me. And I appreciate that to the product development team and all the hard work that you guys do. It is just cool to say, whoa, hey, they worked on this. Hey, this went smoother. Hey, something else, it's just always a step in the right direction. And so our church, just culturally, we'd be a little slow. So on this, and that's okay, because, but we're going to catch on right now as we move into the future, right? And so I'm encouraged about that. And so we've had, I haven't like officially launched out to the church on a macro level, just because I want to make sure that we have our ducks in a row, and so we don't sabotage the name of Altar. I want us to be making sure that we got all of our ducks in a row on our end before we turn it out to the entire church. So yeah.
All right. Well, as long as that yellow tag on your calendar behind it doesn't say AltarLive, June 2021.
No, it doesn't.
Good.
I promise. That's not it. That's not it.
No, but that's really good to hear that, the members of the church weren't necessarily all super tech savvy, that they're just kind of normal folk.
Oh, they're very normal folk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, my excitement is the fact that what a thing just highlighted is that this is still a work in progress. We're all still figuring it out as we go, and that you guys at AltarLive are not so rigid, and you just go, here it is, y'all make this work, because that doesn't work with our small church congregation. And so the fact that you're flexible and you're interacting and talking back and forth just makes it so cool. So Steph, what do we need to do now?
All right, you get to join an event. So I'm gonna share this link here. What you're gonna do is click on that link. I'm gonna stay on this Zoom call. If you have any issues, you can come back in here. But best is to actually, once you're in the event and it's working for you, close out the Zoom meeting, because your camera is gonna be occupied by Zoom. And if you wanna sit down at a table, you'll need your camera for Altar. You can sign up. You'll experience it first as an anonymous user, and then you can sign up to create an account, saying you already have one, so it'll remember you as you go in. But you can sign up with Facebook, Google, your email address. We won't do anything with those, so don't worry. And if you go create your own account afterwards, you'll have a clean slate to do that with as well. But yeah, chat with us in Altar 2 if you need any help. And then what we'll do is we'll be in the live event for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. We'll get a feel for that. You can hop between rows, click on all the buttons that you want to, except the leave button. That'll kick you out of the event. And then I'll move everyone into the lobby, and you can get a feel for that. I'll be at a table, so you can come chat with us there as well.
So where's the link that we get there?
It's right here. All right, I just sent it
in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So click the link first before you leave Zoom.
All right, click that, leave Zoom, and then come on that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, all right. We'll see you guys soon.